Georgie field goal, Georgie three-pointer, hit us up, and he said, what if USC, the USC Trojans out there in LA, what if they beat both LSU and Michigan early on in the season? Now, game one, you are going to have a cinematic experience in Las Vegas. It's a Sunday. I love this about college football week one. We get a myriad of games. We get them from Saturday all the way through Monday. It's a blast. The Sunday game, the standalone game, is LSU in Vegas and USC. That's massive. So if you win that one, it could be a track meet. Like the over-under is already out. It's at 66.5 points. Could be Leo DiCaprio kind of game. Catch Me If You Can. 2022 or 2002 film, Nick. Really good. Check that out. But the game that I think is most intriguing here with this what if is the Michigan game, which is game 3. So you have LSU, and you play Utah State, and then game 3 you go to Michigan. Now, if you beat Michigan, I think there's a lot more to take from that game than the LSU game because LSU's got their own problems on defense. They're breaking in a new DC, new quarterback. We're going to see what that looks like. I think they'll be really good. But if you beat Michigan, like for USC, that's the kind of game that when we found out they were going to the Big Ten, that you were a little bit nervous about if you're a USC fan. If you're being honest, that was one where we were like, all right, do we have the big boys up front to roll with Michigan? Do we have the pieces to really go toe-to-toe with a physical team like that? The answer is we'll see, but if you beat Michigan, think about the strides that you made with Dayton Lynn taking over the defense, with Eric Henderson taking over the defense. That would be, I think, extreme cause for excitement. And I know it's early in the year. It's only game 3, so you don't make a definitive statement about your team just yet. But I think there should be a lot of praise for what you do schematically on that side of the football, with how much better you look. Because last year, USC allowed 5 yards a carry. Not 5 yards a play, 5 yards a carry on defense. They allowed 34 points a game. Allowed 34 points a game. So you're walking out there if you're USC and you're already spotting someone 5 touchdowns. That's hard to overcome, even with the Heisman Trophy winner playing quarterback for you. And so Michigan is going to have better personnel up front than USC the first week of this, or first month of the season, rather. I'm just like, let's be real here. They're going to have better big boys. USC is in the process of stockpiling more talent. USC, we've seen you cooking on the recruiting trail as well, so shouts to y'all. But they're going to be outmatched up front, at least to some degree. So if they beat Michigan, it means that schematically they were able to find a way to overcome that matchup, and then offensively you were able to pick up where you left off last year with Miller Moss playing quarterback for you instead of Caleb Williams. Really important here to note, the fact that USC gets LSU and Michigan that first month of the season. Yes, it's brutal because, you start the year with those cats, but you would much rather play LSU and Michigan when you're fresh and your body isn't beat to heck than later on in the year. Like in November, Michigan at Michigan would be brutal. Also, worth noting, it's a little bit colder in Michigan in November than it is early on in the year, but I digress. This is big for your team in the strides that I just mentioned, but I think also it is arguably more impactful for USC when it comes to their path in the postseason. Because if you beat LSU and you beat Michigan and you're USC, think about the swag that brings. Think about the belief that you have internally that what you're doing now defensively and how it's working and the buy-in is there. It's only September, but if you beat both those teams, I think you're probably talking about the playoff. Now, does it mean that you're a shoo-in for the playoff? No, it doesn't. But it does mean that if you're able to pass both those tests, you feel wildly different heading into games against Penn State and Notre Dame, which I think are the 2 toughest games left on your schedule from a roster perspective. Now, Nebraska, they'll be sneaky at UCLA. Who knows? It's a rivalry game. But if you're able to beat both those teams in LSU and Michigan, win the games that I believe you're supposed to win from a roster level, and then you're able to get out of that 4 of Penn State, Notre Dame, Nebraska, UCLA with 2 losses. Again, you're 10-2. You're making the college football playoff. You're making the college football playoff, USC, if that happens. Now, that's asking a lot. That's asking a massive jump on defense. It's asking Miller Moss to play at a high level. But think about it this way, man. Think about the tweets that would be deleted if USC, their first year in the Big Ten, makes the college football playoff. Because right now, I'm telling you, you can go screenshot, USC's about to get ragdolled in the Big Ten. USC's about to get run through in the Big Ten. Soft USC is no match for the Big Ten. The Big Ten's a line of scrimmage conference. Like, if USC stays the same as last year defensively, all those tweets will come to fruition. But if they level up and the defensive scheme and the defensive personnel is able to level up a little bit more than what they have right now, and they're able to put them in position to be successful, USC is going to have a chance now to make some noise. USC is going to have a chance, if they go ahead and beat LSU and Michigan, to be a college football playoff team. And so they're not a finished product. I believe at the time of us being live, USC has a number 3 ranked class in the 2025 On3 industry team recruiting rankings. I'm just saying, start to stockpile talent. It's not a finished product on defense, but there is a little bit of a revamp there. But the big thing here, if you make the playoff, even if you don't win a game in the playoff, you make the playoff your first year in the Big Ten. You go 10-2, you have those, poster board wins over LSU and Michigan that you can sell to recruits on the trail. You have proof of concept. You have momentum. You have trajectory to sell. Because Danton Lynn, major pedigree. Eric Henderson, major pedigree in terms of what they've been around defensively. Eric Henderson coached Aaron Donald. We say that every show because I think it's important for us not to overlook the fact that he coached one of the best defensive linemen in NFL history. If you're able to show these kids that this is heading a certain direction, and you're able to then acquire the defensive talent you need at USC to compete in the Big Ten consistently, all bets are off. And the phrase Lincoln Riley coach defense, Lincoln Riley defense, Lincoln Riley this and that on the defense side of the football, I think it would start to fade into the background a little bit, like that Homer Simpson gif where he walks back into the bushes and kind of disappears. That would be those kind of tweets and that kind of saying. So will it happen? I don't know. Is it a massive what if? Absolutely. Would it shape the college football season if USC starts out hot at 3-0? You better believe it. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.